Okay. Oh, okay, now we should have sound. Sorry about that. Uh, let me start over. So welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream starts and I edit them for you here live. Today I'll be using DxO Photolab 8, my preferred editor of choice. I use it probably 95% of the time. And I'll have links down below, my affiliate links, if you want to download a free trial for DxO Photolab and follow along with me, or try it out for yourself. I think you'll like it as much as I do. And let's see. So I got several images today, a lot of edits to my image as well. If you can, just try to submit one edit of my image, like your best one. Because there's a lot here, so just one would be ideal. I have some duplicates too. It's kind of my fault, but anyhow, and then last say, uh, for whatever reason, the file you uploaded didn't work again. So I got two corrupt images of yours. So I don't know why yours is corrupted like this, but I can't edit it, unfortunately. So feel free to submit another one and I'll try and get to it later in the stream. Okay, so I see Jeff is here. Lavari, good to see you. Dale, wow, that's a new name. Hi, Dale. Welcome to the editing live stream. Jen, good to see you. And William and John. And Jan, I did get your email about the leveling base. So I didn't look at it closely, but I did skim it real quick. So I'll look at that after the stream and try and get back to you. And then I see Steve is here, but anyhow, let's go ahead and dive into the editing. So I need to turn off the chat and just start. This looks like the first one. So one here from John follows. So we have, oh, this looks really familiar. You got a log here with some birdseed on top. That's exactly what I do. That's awesome. And we'll go ahead and apply a basic preset. This one won't need much editing. It's already pretty well exposed. What I might do is just temper some of the highlights, maybe square it off. I like to do square crops on wildlife, but this may not work because the tail's a bit longer. So we'll just go back to the original. I'll just balance out the sides a little bit. Like I like equal space tops and sides and bottom. So something about like that. And I'm going to go ahead and temper this bird seed down here. Because it looks so, yeah, they're clipped just a little bit. That's okay. And let's see, let's darken the background a bit too. Okay. I'm going to look in here. I'm going to try and get rid of some of this clipping that's in here. You can't recover a clipped highlight, but I might be able to just repair it this way. Let's see. If I pick some of the darker feed, maybe. Why is that getting brighter? Yeah, if I do a clone. Just a little bit of cloning. Maybe not that one. Okay. That way the birdseed doesn't look like it's all clipped. It's a little bit in here. Okay. And let's brighten up the bird's head. So I'm doing all local adjustments. Let's just push the midtones here and the highlights. And then I will work on the eyes. And I like to use the clear view on the eyes, micro contrast, just to make them look a little bit glossy. And let me see if I can bring a little color back too. About like that. Okay. And I'm going to just darken the back end here. I'm going to tighten up the luma. And just bring it down just a little bit. Maybe cool it off a tiny bit too. Okay. And then on the head, maybe just add a little bit of warmth. Okay. And then I like this blue feathers here. So I'm going to just increase the saturation a bit on the blue, or vibrancy. Okay, couple of bright spots here. Let's see. Let me get this one. Work on that one. Maybe a little bit closer in here. And then I'll just do a little bit of the beak is just a hair bit too shiny. So I'm going to just temper that a bit. There we go. And I think that's all this needs. It needs a little bit of straightening. I don't know why it feels like it just needs a slight tilt. Just a slight tilt up. Okay. And then I'll crop this back in. Okay, I'm going to export that and see how that looks. Okay, Lasse, I will look again and see if I can get it for you. All right. Okay, so that's done. So I'm going to reset this. We're going to compare it to the output. So here's my edit here on the left. Here's the original on the right. So it's just slightly overexposed here, uh, particularly because the bird seed kind of clipped. So it'd be better to underexpose slightly with the birds, particularly when they have some white feathers. I like to underexpose a little bit. I rarely push the exposure. I don't know if, you see, you didn't dial in any exposure comp. I would have probably dialed in like a -1 and then brought the exposure back up. But let's take a look at a close up here just to get an idea of some of the details. And now we can really see the fine details here in the feathers. And I didn't play with any of the detail sliders, but I think, whoops, I think that came out really good. And of course, all the chroma and luminoise is all gone. So really, really nice picture. All right, let's go to the next one. And looks like shattered glass here with some graffiti. So we need to, yeah, some nasty graffiti. But I guess it's art, so we can work with this. This is challenging because I can't imagine uh what I can do with this. I'm just gonna do some perspective corrections. And I'm gonna look at just gonna look closer at the fine glass. What I might do is just, there's some little, I'm not sure exactly. This almost looks like blood or, well, what I'm gonna do, let's see if I can get rid of that one. That one is just a little bit too much for me. Okay. Uh, and let's see if I can make a correction in here that would mitigate that didn't work too well. All right, we'll leave the rest as is. Now, if I do clear view, I'm just curious what we can do, and then push the micro contrast. Okay. Hmm. I'm not sure what to do with this. I think I will go with a square frame, and let's see if we can temper some of the lighting. Here and then maybe up here too. Okay, so we have a nice black and like a deep black in the background. Hmm. I don't know. Whoops. Some of the tones are a little bit interesting in the glass. If I can isolate those. What I'm seeing. Okay, that's lens flare. What I'd like to do is see if I can sort of exaggerate some of the other tones in the glass. You stretch it out a bit. Okay. See where we're at. Okay, I like that. Whoops. Make a new one. Hmm. That's not quite exactly what I was going for, but that's not too bad. And then see if I can push up in here a little bit more. Let's let's try and minimize some of this. And then push up in here. Okay. Okay, I kind of like that. It's still kind of artsy fartsy, but I kind of like that over the original. So I'm going to stop here because I'm struggling with what to do with this creatively. But let's go ahead and just do a quick side by side with the original. So as you can see, I exaggerated sort of the lighting and the way it's reflecting on the glass on this image. I mean, I hyper exaggerated it, but I think it's kind of cool. Uh, and of course, got rid of this one graffiti. It's a little bit too offensive to me, but the rest of it, and then pulling in the blacks. I always like something completely black in the image if I can. And I think we brought out some of the textures over here. So I think that's not a bad edit, considering I have no idea what to do with this. Uh, but that's cool. That was pretty challenging, William. I have to give this some more thought. But yeah, I like the streaks, of course. I got this in the corner because I'm always conscious of my corners. I should probably crop it a little bit more. Let me just crop it a little more and see if I can do that without. Yeah, something like that. I think that works a little better. So I got this corner kind of closed off, and then this corner is the streaks going into it. And these two corners on the left and right. Okay, I like it. All right, very good. Let's see. Next one here is from Bert. Okay, we have a globe. Obviously, there's a reflection of you guys here. That's cool. Wow, it's nice and warm down there, huh? Wherever you are, or whenever you took this. Okay, so I'm guessing, what is this? The 12 millimeters, so it's pretty wide angle. Let me apply basic preset, fix some of the distortion. Let's do a perspective correction. There we go. And I like the strong pastels over here and over here. The top of this building needs to go. And the sky doesn't have anything in this. There's this really strong shadow, but there's some nice colors in the stones. So I'm going to try and bring out and separate all the colors in here. Compositionally, there's not much to do. I think just a little bit tighter off the top like that, because I don't like these broken, this broken part up here. And then maybe crop out that guy as well. Don't really need him in the picture. And then this stone on the bottom. If I crop that off or leave it in, I think I'll go right about, yeah, let's close it off. Okay. So what I'm doing is I make sure there's no sky up here, no like broken parts of sky up here, and then this side is solid because there's no sky over here. And we don't really need this guy in the shot. He's a little bit distracting. So I think that makes a little bit cleaner composition. I'd come in a little tighter and get rid of this little spot of sky here, but then it would be too tight. I wanna maintain sort of this nice color. So let's see if I do. I'm trying to try and see how tight we can get using the eyedropper. Okay, not bad. And then let's go over here. That's kind of the same color. It's just lighter. This one's a little bit lighter. Okay, and then let's do the reds. Okay, and the stones seem to be coming out okay. We'll do those locally. Let me just desaturate globally just a tiny bit. And then globally, I think a little clear view, micro contrast would be okay. All right, and then I need to temper the highlights here on the right side. Like that. And let's give it some clear view and contrast. Maybe not that much. Okay, and then the stones in here. See if I can separate them a little bit more. Give them a little more color. Let's see. Let's brighten the reds a bit. And let's stretch that out. Okay, that works. Maybe the midtones. Okay. Just a slight pullback on the oranges. Hmm. This needs something. A little push in the midtones. Okay. I think I'll call it here. So here's the original. It's a little flat, mostly because the lighting is so strong. So I may have overdone it a tiny bit on the rocks. I should probably dial it back a little bit. Let me dial that back a little bit. I think it was this one. Put another one here. I'm just going to pull it back just a tiny bit. These windows, I don't know if this is worth. Just putting a little bit more light on this side. And a little bit down here. Okay, now I'm done. Okay, so here's the original. It just needed a slight crop with a little bit of perspective correction. And then bringing out the colors in the stones is what I kind of like, because there's a lot of really nice colors in these stones. I lost some of the greens in here, but that's okay. Dang it. I wonder if I can, let me see if I can pull out some of the greens. Really? Because this green is, yeah, that's awful. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Okay, let's go to the next one. Thank you, Bert, for sending that one. I think that looks pretty okay. And this is the one last they sent. Like I said, it's corrupted, so let's just get that out. Okay, we have another one here from William. Let's see. Interesting perspective here. I would, let me just get a basic preset. I think a square crop, whoops, I think a square crop might be okay. Let me see. Right about there. Then come in. Hmm. Sure, I kind of like this bottom part a little more. But I'm losing a corner. I think I'll go right about there. Eh, just the balance is not quite right. Okay, I'm going to go with that. And then, let's see, a little bit of clear view. And let's do a little bit on the sky here. I'll move this dropper back here. And just pull that in. Just make that a little more dramatic. Not that we really need it. Problem I'm having is just not happy with the composition. What if I do, actually that's, I like this better. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with the composition. Because originally it was a vertical. Problem is I'm not getting a good balance of this blue. I think I like this a little better. I need a little bit more. Hmm. About right there. Oh, but now we're getting... If I keep all this sand... Hmm. I'm sorry, this composition is really, I'm struggling. Yeah, landscape. William is suggesting landscape and no sky, something like this. But then this is a little bit too abstract. Uh, yeah, that's kind of leaning towards. No, all right. I'm gonna go with this. Uh, I got this corner. I need a line from a corner. Maybe right there. I'm gonna go with this. Okay. Uh, so all I really need to do from here is just work on this texture over here. Some micro contrast. Maybe pull back the saturation a little bit. I think I'll go with that. So if we it was, yeah, my problem with this composition, this vertical, is it's really, really heavy on this left side. So I'm trying to temper that weight. Uh, this way. But I think if I was on the scene, I would have probably stepped a little bit more to the right and try to get more of the rock face in the scene, and then less of the sky or no sky at all. And if I wanted more sky, I'd probably shoot wider. Uh, so I'd have a lot more seascape mixed in with the rock. But the way this composition is over here, I just can't balance it because I like it's all subjective, okay? I'm not criticizing. Uh, but I kind of prefer a more balanced scene, and it just feels very heavy on the left side. So I'm thinking this works. Okay. All right, William. Boy, you guys really pushing me this week. This was hard. Okay, let's go to the next one. But thank you, William. Uh, okay. Let's see. We have a frame and a frame. Oh, I see David walked in and discover photos. Thank you. Let's see. It's no waterfall or anything. It's just kind of a little pond. And then we have some posts in the background. Looks like a UFO right there. You see that? Doesn't that look like a little UFO right there? Okay. Could be, it's probably a bird though, right? So I think what I'll do is, the light is really strong here on the front face relative to the rest of the scene. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the sky in, darken this whole area so that most of the light is in the center. So I would do that. Let's get a basic preset in, and I'm just going to check and make sure everything is kind of centered. It looks like it's centered pretty well. Just a hair to the left. Take a little bit off the bottom, maybe. Okay. A little bit more to the left. Okay. And then what we'll do is let's just going to brighten the center up. Let's go about 3 stops. And then I'm going to pull the exposure 3 stops globally. About there. Let's do about 2 stops and then do some local stuff. No. Be a little bit tighter crop. A little bit less rock framing. Okay. So I actually want to get that. A little bit of contrast. Color-wise, let's just cool it off a bit and desaturate. Oops, I'm affecting the center, sorry. Okay, in the center, I have to add the saturation back in. And then let's do a separate control point for the sky. With some clear view, pull the highlights a bit. Like so. You can expand that a bit. Let's push the shadows down here. Give it some clear view. Then this rock face, we need to pull the highlights a tiny bit. A little bit of clear view in here, maybe some saturation. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. I think. Okay, the sky's a little bit overdone. So let's bring that back. Right about there. I'll just do a quick local over here. Just bring this in a bit more. Right there. Right there and there. That doesn't look right. Wish I could do something with this water in here. Let's see if I can. Okay. All right, I think I'm done there. So let's do before and after. So just a little bit of a crop. There was just a little bit too much stone in this little, for this. So I wanted to make it a little more dominant. I think I could crop in even a little more. Uh, I think something like that. And then, like I said, there was just too much light on the face here, so I just pulled that back. And then over here, you could hardly see the water. So I brought that in. The only part here that's a little bit weird is just this grassy area here. Maybe maybe something just to temper that a little bit. And desaturate that. But yeah, I think think that's a little better. Okay. Maybe this last edit that I did. Okay. There we go. So now the center of the frame is much more prominent. It's at least 50% of the image, whereas over here it's probably about 25% or less. And then the water was the most interesting thing to me. And then of course, just bring the sky in a little bit. So yeah, that works. This is probably a better image to kind of do it this way, right? Something like that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Thank you, Dan. And then here's one from Lavari. This one he sent it last week and I just missed it. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. We will do, let's do a, yeah, let's just do a square crop. Whoops. And get rid of those people in the background. Actually, I can probably come in about right there. And let's brush out. Is that working? Let's just brush out these feet a little better. Add a little bit of glow to the face. And add a little sparkle to the eyes. Just a little bit on the hands here. Okay, and then let's do a gradient this way. Whoops. Need a new one. Let's do a gradient this way. And just add a little more light from that side and a little bit of warmth. Maybe do a new one on this side. That didn't add. I meant to hit plus. And I'm going to tighten up the mask. And just cool it off a tiny bit. Okay. Okay, I think that's all that needed. So yeah, we don't need all this in the background, right? I could have done a little better job, you know, making the correction here, but gosh, there's a couple other things I like in here. Let me let me just do a couple of other small things. I'd like to do is I kind of like the little sparkles here of leaves. Might be a bit too much. Oh, we were at 53. Let's go to 6,000 and just add a tiny bit of highlight. Maybe that leaf, this flower. Okay. So okay, so here's the new one. Here's the original. So yeah, just pulling in a little bit of light from the right. I mean, clearly the light's coming in from the top, straight down almost a little bit behind. But I decided to make the key light here in the front. So I had to motivate that a little bit by brightening up the right side over here as well. Uh, but yeah, this could use a little bit more light on the shoulder actually. So just do a little bit right in here, tighten up the mask a tiny bit. Just motivate that light a little bit. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Much, now it's just all about this little kid, right? All right, let's see. And that was from, oh, yeah, Lavari, thanks. I hope you like that edit. I know you were waiting a week for that one. Let's see. Okay, we have a seascape here. Let's do a basic preset. And super level horizon. I don't think I need to do anything here. Yeah, it's perfect. So I want to bring out some of the pink tones in the sky. It's also being reflected, a little bit of pinks and magentas in the water here on the rocks. Okay, Paul, I'll take a look at your edit. Okay. So let me just do a simple clear view there. Oh, that's a bit too much. See if a vibrancy brings out those tones a little more. Yeah. That looks good. And then maybe a slight pull on the highlights and some micro contrast. Okay. The white balance, maybe it's a bit too magenta. We'll just throw in a little bit more warmth. Yeah, I think think that's good. All right. So this is a 3-second exposure. Okay. Let's just do some spot lighting right there and there. And maybe push the magenta a tiny bit on those. No. Just a tiny bit there and a tiny bit more warmth. And then we're going to do the same thing, just in smaller spots here. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this pipe. Okay. And then the water, let's give it a few highlights. There's a little bit there and there. We'll just push the highlights. And the micro contrast. And we'll do the same thing down in here, but to a lesser degree. And then the water, let me tighten the mask a little bit on the, not the chroma, but the Luma mask. Okay. And let's try clear view, but pull the contrast back. Pull the blacks in. Okay. I don't know if I need any color, but let me cool it off a little bit maybe. Just a slight cooling there. And I need to push right in here. This needs a little bit more light right here. Okay. Maybe in here. And a little bit on this spot there. A little extra there. A little extra there. A little smaller. Okay. This needs to be smaller. All right. I think I'm done there. So compositionally, I didn't really need to crop or anything. You know, a 16:9 might look okay, or a 3:2. But I didn't want to cut off too much of the cloud. Let me just look at a 3:2. 3:2 might be a little better fit for this scene. But I think that works. It's very nicely balanced. And all it really needed was just a little more contrast, basically. So if we do it this way, there's the original. And then that's the final edit. right? I think that looks a lot better. Okay. Um, I'm curious to see what you did, Paul, on this one. All right, let's go to the next one here. This one's from Jeff. Looks like a reproduction of something here. Interesting. Oh, you know what? This is actually from a movie set. Because there's no way a hobbyist would make something like this. That's really cool. Uh, so let's see. We need to get rid of this junk over here. We'll leave the straps. And we'll do a black and white. Because there's not really, I could bring out some of the color in this, maybe. Uh, this is a TIFF file, so I don't have a lot of, I don't need to do any optical corrections or noise reduction. Maybe a tiny bit on the noise, but I'm just curious the black and white. Versus if I push the reds. Nah. I don't think the reds, I'd have to shift them a little more orange. Give it a little rustier look. I'm just spot checking right now before because I'm gonna do local adjustments. I'm just trying to determine if there's some wiggle room in the color or should I just go black and white. I kind of like this vintage black and white look. I think I'll go black and white. Okay. So let me get rid of some of this trash. Need a little bit more feathering. Good. Maybe get rid of this guy. Get rid of this car. Maybe put this. Okay. And then let me see. I'm gonna get rid of some of this really strong highlights over here. So we'll tighten up the Luma mask. Just pull those in. Maybe pull that in a bit. Okay. Maybe down here too. All right, let's do some painting on the front. I haven't thought about how to do ships. It's one of the few ships I've ever had to edit. I mean, even for my own personal collections. But let's make the some of the key features of a ship are the smokestacks, the anchor, of course the bow and the stern, and then the bridge. Skip that one. I want the bridge to be a little bit brighter. Might have to do this with a brush. Let me see if I can get rid of this part. Not get rid of it, but just kind of temper the brightness over here. Okay. Andrew's asking, are ships more difficult to edit? Uh, it's not that ships specifically are more difficult to edit. It's just familiarity with the subject, right? What's important, what details. So like when I'm doing birds, it's easy because I know eyes, beak, talons, right? And then any highlights and color. Those are kind of the important things, eyes, beak, talons. And then when I'm doing people, it's kind of the same thing. Eyes, skin tones, a little bit brighter than the rest of the scene. So some subjects I'm very familiar with. Something like this, I'm not as familiar with, like what to highlight. So I'm guessing, anchor uh, and bridge, and then the smokestacks. So that's kind of where I'm going. And if I knew more about ships, I could probably edit this a little better. But I'm not quite as familiar with ships, so it's not so much the ships are difficult to edit, it's editing unfamiliar subjects is what makes it a little more difficult. Uh, let's see if I can brighten this. Okay. So let me see where I'm at. I need to do something else here. Because the color in this image is separating the ship pretty nicely. Whereas when I do it this way, there's not enough separation in the tones between the green and the ship. So what should I do? Should I darken the water? And then maybe accentuate some of the maybe it's something I did in here. I'm having a hard time with this one. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, it's kind of getting there. I wonder if I can just pull the colors that way. Yeah, let's go with a faded look. Then, wow, this one's hard. You guys are really challenging me this week. So if I'm going to pick a tone, I mean, I kind of tried this already, but I picked the darker tones. Okay. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Maybe a slight vignette. Just a little bit of a blur or a soft focus better. Just a little bit. Okay. All right. That's not. Okay, I'm going to call it there. Whew, boy, that was tough. So, it's already really tightly cropped. All I had to do really is just get rid of this distracting part and convert to black and white. And to separate this boat from the water, I really couldn't use the tones because the tones between this green water and this ship is pretty close. So I tried to do it using the ribbing here in the ship. But now this looks, I think that looks okay. I I'd like to have a little bit wider shot, but I think that looks all right. Okay. Let's see. Where's my button here? Let me go into the chat real quick. But that's a cool shot, Jeff. I appreciate that. That was tough. that was tough. These were all really hard, actually. Except for the bird and the little kid. I really struggled. Um, but that's why I love doing these because it makes me stretch my, I have to stretch my whatchamacallit, my own creative skills, right? Okay. Let me go to let me just look at the chat real quick. Can't help. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, right? That the ship's not getting separated from the water quite as much. So that's why I kind of tried to accentuate the ribbing here. It's weird on my live stream. Well, let me move this over. Well, that doesn't work. Just looks really dark, but that could be just because I got that other monitor too dark. I agree, Jeff. Or I'm sorry, Andrew. The color version, uh, well, that the water is, the ship stands out from the water a lot better here. But I didn't see any colors on the ship itself that were very helpful. And then I got rid of this car because that was just glaring. It looks like the car is sitting on top of the ship. But the way it's edited here, you have to kind of look twice to try to get some sense of scale that this is actually a model and not the real ship, right? What gives it away are these straps. But other than that, it's a little tough to tell. But yeah, I agree. I agree, Andrew. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, I remember this movie, Raise the Titanic, from the 80s. I do. I think I saw that movie. Wow, I have to watch it again. It's a 57-foot model. Okay. Wow, it looks bigger than that in this picture. Um, okay, actually, before I forget, um, sometimes you guys send in your edits of the pictures. And then also Lasse sent in another one. So let me drop that in. There's one more coming, I think. Okay. Uh-oh. All right. Phew, boy, I thought I closed the stream down. Okay. So let's see. Here was my edit of the image, I believe, right? So we'll set that as a reference. And then let's see. Paul sent his edit in over here. Oh, wow. Okay. So you went pretty hardcore on the warm tones and contrast. That's good. There's a lot of similarities too. If you pull back the sort of the golden tone or the white balance shift, it's a pretty heavy shift to the warm tones. Uh, it's not too dissimilar. Okay, yeah, very good. It's a little bit too warm for my blood. I think if you could have warmed up a little bit more selectively, because it's just way too warm up here, but everything else looks good. All right, and then Lasse sent one in. I think this is it. Yeah. So what I was going to say is I keep forgetting to mention this, but if you guys edited your picture, send it in, like after I'm done editing your picture, and then we can compare what you did versus what I did. Because a lot of times you guys do a better job on your own image than I do. So it'll be a learning experience for both of us. Okay, this is a similar marina. This looks like the same marina, but from a different angle from the boardwalk here. Let me apply basic preset. This one's tough because all the boats are blocked, either with this railing or with this tree. So now the subject becomes here, right? So I would say, a vertical makes more sense on this. Maybe start about there. Even tighter. We don't need to see anything but the boardwalk. Oops, cut off the other person there. Okay, let me balance this a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to brighten up the center here where the subjects are. And then pull back the exposure just a little bit, not quite that much, something like that. Pull the highlights in a tiny bit. Let's do the sky. Oops, we need a new control line. Make that clear. A little bit of contrast. Maybe even brighten it. It's a little bit too dark. And then let's add a little bit of a warm glow from this direction. Let's stretch that out a bit. Okay. And let's see. What I really need is a little bit softer. A little bit softer look. And a slight tilt. Okay. Let's do, yeah, right there. Whoops. All right, I think that's all that needs to be done. Let's see, Paul Crisp. So, like I was saying, here on the left side, the original, The Marina is just kind of a yeah, it's a train wreck over there really because it's not a good angle and every ship is just about blocked with something. So but there's these people walking here, which is kind of interesting. So that's why I think a vertical crop looks good, and then just a little bit of warming to just to give it a more of a warm feel. This is a little bit too cool over here, but that looks good. Okay, Lasse, thanks for sending that. Let's look at your images. Trying to see. I don't know why. Okay, let's go to my. Is this the original? No. This is the original image. So this is in Alexandria, and these are a couple of like rent-a-boats that take you around the Potomac. So let's see. The first one here from Marcel. Okay, nice little crop. That's not a bad crop. I wouldn't have thought to crop this boat off, but that works pretty well. Basically centering this boat here, and then sort of a little bit of a cooler tone. You got rid of all the warm colors, basically. So yeah, I like it. Really, basically, you desaturated the yellows. Of course, I got sensor spots all over this image. You can see one here, there's a dot there, there's a dot over here. It's terrible. Okay, and then let's see. This one is from Bert. Okay, Bert, a little bit of a crop. Fix the this distraction over here on the right, and also a heavily desaturated on the yellows. But yeah, I kind of like this look that you and Marcel did it a little bit differently. His a little bit more low key, whereas yours is a bit uh, sort of a normal exposure, but desaturated the yellows. But that looks good and a nicer crop, I think. It's the same crop, but you got rid of this part. Just a slight crop. You got rid of this red buoy, I see. But yeah, that's a good crop, and you fix for the most part you fix the sensor spots. There's still a little bit of remnant here. And then Lasse edited mine. Okay, I like that. I like this edit too. Um, Much tighter crop, but for the most part fixed the sensor spots and gave a nice saturation to all the colors. I think the editing here is very good, very realistic. And yeah, I just downloaded that twice. Okay. Oh, vertical. Okay. Um, I really like the black and white processing here, Paul. This is really good. But this crop is just a little tight on the back end for me. And then the sensor spots, right? Those are obvious fixes. Not many of you guys are doing that. But I would, you got to fix these sensor spots. But other than that, I like the processing. It's a nice punchy black and white without being low key. It's really good contrast there, especially here along the water line and the hull of the boat. This came out really good. And then you left a lot of the highlights clipped, which I like. I mean, I think clipping highlights is fine. If it makes sense, right? If it looks good in the picture, it's okay to clip the highlights. And I think clipped highlights look okay here. Okay, and this is another one from Paul. Very different look. This is sort of like the seascape picture you did. You really kind of overdid it with the warm, sort of golden hour look. But in the processing, you lost a little bit of contrast here. I do this sometimes too, where I'm trying to do some pretty dramatic changes to the mood of the scene, and then I kind of lose a little bit of the crispiness of some of the speculars. But yeah, the warmth kind of carries over in a graduated way. So it almost looks like a radio filter. But it ends here, right? This should be warm too because it's getting the same light as up here. And then it's a little bit too heavy here. So I think this part here, wow. Yeah, it's a little bit heavy-handed for my taste. But I would have warmed up everything because this is very graduated here. Okay, and let's see. Okay, Bert, I'll pull up, I see Bert, and oh, sorry, let me just show. You're welcome, Lasse. Thank you for sending that. I'm glad you like it. And then Bert sent your version. Okay, I'm curious to see what you did with that because that was a good image. All right, so this is a very similar crop, Paul, I think to what you did last time, but there's more room here on the left. So this is how I typically crop is with some nice, just a little bit of wiggle room around the subject itself. And the processing is really good on this one. The center spot here is still here and over here, but the processing overall is much, much better. And the crop, I think. It's much more to my taste. And and I'm kind of partial to square crops, so I like it. And interesting on the blue here, it shifted a little bit. Hmm. But that's in the original. I can see it here. That's interesting how that came out, but I like it. Hmm. Okay, and then we have one here from Dan. Yeah, very good. I like this. I think this is my favorite one so far. I mean, the black and white processing is good, uh, but I really like this crop. Let me zoom out. This is the original, right? I like this crop. I like this crisscross of this boat and this boat. I didn't notice that before. Yeah, I like this a lot, Dan. Really good job. And great processing on the black and white. It's not crispy, but it's very, very sharp. I think it's just the perfect amount of sharpness. And then a really good job on the tones. Okay, sorry, I was yawning there. Let's go to the next one. I can never. Trying to kill off this coffee my mom got me, which is just doesn't have the caffeine content as my Maxwell House. Okay, nice. Just cropped off this one. Nobody likes this boat back here. That's interesting. I like that boat. The way you guys are cropping, everybody's cropping that out. But yeah, this is a really good clean edit. Very realistic. Um, Pretty much what I was seeing with the naked eye. But yeah, the sensor spots, I'm surprised no one picked that. You just need to crop in just a few pixels here and there because you tilted it a little bit and then didn't crop in. So you just need to crop in a little bit more, then this would be perfect. That looks good. That's a good edit. But yeah, I'd have to say I like Dan's the best. It really accentuates this sort of geometry of this boat going in that direction, this boat going the other direction, and then this sort of restaurant here anchors these two boats. That's pretty awesome. Okay. Uh, let's see. There's one more. Looks like. Oh no, I saw that one. Yeah, the one from Jan. Yeah, that was a good edit. Just need to crop in a few more pixels to get rid of these black bars. And then this is a good clean color edit. All right. Let me go to. Sorry, I'm a mess today. um, let me see what you guys sent in. This is oh, Bird's edit. Okay. Let's see. That should have dropped in somewhere. Oh, there it is. So set that as the reference. Okay, so this was my edit. And this is Bird. So Bird went square. Interesting. It's really good though. You did a lot of the same things I did with the rocks. You know, you kind of brought the tones in a little bit, and then but you didn't really go for the colors in the buildings like I did. I really went to pull these in, but it makes sense that you really picked one subject where I was kind of picking a couple, right? I was picking the buildings and the globe, but you kind of just wanted this to be the main focal point, and then you got rid of this stone here. Okay. But the processing is very similar otherwise. Like I said, with the colors, a little bit of extra saturation. Because if I reset, well, anyway, you did pretty much the same thing with the colors and the contrast and everything else. Pull the sky in. Yep. Very, very similar edit. Just the key difference being I went a little bit crispier on the cobblestone here. All right. I think that is it for today. So what's today? Friday, right? Um, I got, how are we doing on time? We're doing good on time. So next week I'll do this again. I'm still working on Luminar Neo. I did some editing with it, on and off the past couple of weeks. I'm starting to get a feel for it, the workflow and everything. So I'll start doing some editing with Luminar Neo. I was hoping I could do it early February, but it's probably going to be late February before I get a little more comfortable with some of the editing tools and being able to get through it like I do with Photolab 8. Because Photolab 8, if I have an idea, I know exactly what tool to pull out and start to edit. But with Luminar, uh, it's a very different workflow, but you still get great results. It's just a very different workflow. And I did try the panorama with Luminar. That works really well, surprisingly. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was pleasantly surprised how good the pano stitching is in Luminar Neo. So I'm going to start doing some of that because I know some of you use Luminar Neo. So I'll try and get relatively proficient at that so that you guys can get some ideas and vice versa. I can get ideas from you guys about how to use Luminar Neo and how to edit things. Um, and then Sunday, I have Andrew. Andrew was here in the chat today. I have Andrew Banner coming in as a guest, Andrew has a YouTube channel, but even before I discovered his YouTube channel, which was very recent, I always appreciated his comments in the chat section, right? His participation in the streams, and he's always had very solid comments throughout. I'm not sure how long he's been following, but for as long as I can remember, Andrew's always had really good comments. So I always had a positive impression just from the chat section. And then for whatever reason, I only recently discovered his YouTube channel, and that was a nice extension of what my perception of Andrew was reinforced, or what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. There's a word, but the YouTube channel and the content that he produced there definitely. God, what is the word? Anyway, I'm gonna have him on Sunday, and we're gonna talk about photography, and uh, hopefully I need to come up with an outline though, Andrew. I'll work on that today and tomorrow. It might be the day before, but it won't be anything you can't just wing, right? But I'll send you an outline of topics that I want to kind of go over with you photographically in photography. We're not going to talk too much about gear, even though we're all both Micro Four Third users. It's going to be primarily about photography and your photography, and the things that you're teaching. So we'll do that, and then we'll do some more shopping next week, and all the fun things that we do that surrounds our photography. Right? We buy gear, we edit our photos, um, and wow, OM Systems is going to announce their camera next week officially, so that'll be really exciting. Of course, you need to be here for my first impressions, and then I might do a live stream that day, February 6th. So come back for that. But you guys, says made a 4-image panel Neo yesterday, lots of, and blended perfectly. Good, good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to practice a little more with the Pano stuff. Been winging it. Yeah, me too, Andrew. I've been winging it every live stream. I'm just kind of winging it, right? Uh, even the 7th annual. Every year I do those annual Micro Four Third meetups, and I do a little planning, but once I get into the stream, all that goes out the window, and I have to wing it. But that's right, I do have part 2 of the 7th annual meetup coming, February 20 something. I'm gonna have that posted probably next week, so look for that also. And I have, everybody coming. It's gonna be a heavy stream, uh, but yeah. Thanks everyone for joining me today. I appreciate you sending your images in, and I will see you guys back on Sunday together with Andrew. Thanks for coming, and have a great weekend. I'm going to a party tonight. I'll try and take some pictures at the party tonight and share them with you on the Sunday live stream too.